Hello my dear audience, my name is Raphael Reitz, and in this video I will tell you about a project I made in collaboration with Jana Poganke, called Magnificent. The project was a short film following the story of our main protagonist, Luca. She's a successful young lawyer, and she knows it. She's having an affair with Jody, a woman infatuated with Luca, but married to Robert, a wealthy entrepreneur. One day, Luca is called into her office to oversee another divorce, between Robert and her lover Jody. It was interesting to see the story develop over time and get more and more influenced by various media we both enjoy, thus making it very personal to us. I will talk about the process of making the short film, talking about developing a story, and our workflow from September until the submission. Then I will talk about the strengths and weaknesses of our film and will reflect on it. After this, I will have a short Q&A section. This project was primarily influenced by Killing Eve and American Psycho. Although not as violent as those examples, our film also features a psychopath toying with the people in her life. The film was shot in the span of just 2 days, from April the 12th to April the 13th. After revising the shots and putting together a rough cut, we reshot 2 very small scenes to make the movie feel snappier. Shooting this film was very time consuming and stressful, leading to sleepless nights and a coffee addiction, but also it was very fun, and seeing the finished film felt rewarding beyond belief. I feel like combining Jana's and my creativity and individual point of view together makes this film stand out and unique amongst the other submissions. But let's advance forward into evaluating the process. Let's begin with, how did I use my time since September? Yes, I said the movie was shot in a bit more than 2 days, but those 2 days were the pinnacle of accumulated work since September. So let's start at the beginning of September. Jan and I both individually chose the fiction film pathway. She wanted to create a horror story influenced by The Haunting of Hill House. And I wanted to create a film that felt like an endless chase scene similar to the movie Catch Me If You Can. After a bit of talking, Jan and I realized that we could work together and make a long chase scene with a horror aesthetic. Our first story idea was that there was a character waking up in a hotel room, walking to his office. On his way there, everyone would eerily stare him down, without talking a word. He would pick up the pace, feeling followed, and eventually starts running to work. The story was very thin, and we felt trapped by our own initial ideas. We came to the realization that working together didn't mean fusing both of our initial ideas together, but creating an entirely new story using our combined influences. This led to an idea that, after many revisions and talks to our supervisor, would be the story that we encapsulated in our film. Although the entire story and genre has changed from a spooky story to a drama, the beginning stayed the same. The main character waking up in a hotel room, making its way to work. After creating the story and finishing the script, Jan and I had to look for locations and cast actors. We both underestimated the task. We struggled with this a lot. Our supervisor Jamie Clark helped us out tremendously. He suggested offices inside of the Solent University that normally would be reserved for lecturers and staff only. Through him we were able to book beautiful offices that had a lot of screen time in the movie. Jana found a beautiful Airbnb after our initial location turned us down. We rented it for 2 days and got permission to film in it. Casting our actors was difficult on its own. We didn't know where to start, so we created a casting call for the main cast and posted it every actor group on Facebook. We got a huge response. Over 70 people answered us and wanted to work with us. We pretty quickly casted the 2 male roles. Stephen Hayward as Lorenzo Duval, the CEO of the law firm Luca works for, and Paul Kressner as Robert Heading, the divorced husband of Jody. We also had many candidates for Luca and even picked one, but she jumped off because of scheduling issues. All good, we found a replacement, but she contracted COVID 1 week before shooting. It was the weekend before we would shoot, and Jan and I helped another student on their film when we asked one of their replacement actors if she wanted to have the main role for our movie. Luckily, she accepted. We casted Lauren King as Luca Riccardi, the psychopathic protagonist of our story. We had similar issues with an actor from Jody. She jumped off as well. We resorted to scrolling through Backstage, an actor's recruitment portal, and we found our Jody. We casted Hannah Templeton as Jody Thompson, the lover of Luca and the wife of Robert. Now that we had all the actors together, all this planning would now be tested during our shooting days. On day 1, we shot all around Solent University. We filmed the biggest scene in the before-mentioned offices, including our entire cast, and we filmed a few scenes with Luca and Jody respectively. This day started really slow, and we were constantly behind schedule due to faulty equipment. We had to wait until we could pick up the second wave of equipment that we had scheduled for pickup later that day, so we could focus on Jodie and Luca respectively. Once we got the rest of the equipment, we assembled it and filmed what we had to film. This went surprisingly smoothly compared to the rough start we had. The second day we were stressful throughout. We filmed in the Airbnb and finished with our bathroom scene and one last scene in the office that we didn't manage the day before. We had planned with a lot of time for the Airbnb scenes, but due to constant change in costumes for the actors and constant makeup changes provided by Savannah Old, between scenes we still took longer than expected and had to rush back to the office to film everything in time, which we luckily managed. Now comes the editing phase of our project. We reviewed the footage and began to assemble it. We realized that we had to reshoot 2 small scenes because it didn't look good due to faulty equipment from day one. Luckily, Lauren King, our actress for Luca, was able to come back to Southampton and shoot the scenes again. After arranging a rough cut of the movie, we had supervision with Jamie, giving us feedback. Basically, our movie was way too long and boring to watch. We had to make it snappier and work on the audio. We submitted a rough draft that was significantly shorter but far from perfect. Then Jan and I sat down for 3 days straight and edited that film. We woke up, met at Jana's flat and ate breakfast and worked until 3 in the morning to then go back to bed and meet the next morning to repeat the cycle for 3 days. Editing together is difficult as well. Jana sat at the keyboard working Adobe Premiere and I was searching for assets on my laptop. We constantly bounced ideas off of each other to make the best possible decision regarding a scene. The third day was the day we had to submit the project. We finished the film. While it was exporting, we made breakfast full of anticipation. We watched the movie while we arranged the press kit and the supporting file. Having those 3 files ready was a feeling I couldn't describe to you. After spending about 40 hours in this tiny room working on a single project, to having the finished project submitted had me feeling like I was on top of the world. Overall, the process of creating a short film was exciting, interesting, and fun. Yes, the shooting days were a bit chaotic due to a tight schedule and faulty equipment, but I had so much fun doing it and I would do it all again. The editing nightmare Jan and I went through was worth it all in the end. I'm very proud of the movie we created and I think you could see the hours we crunched into the project. Now let's talk about the project itself. Creating the press kit was a lot of fun. We both didn't have good ideas for a cover image or a logo. I then sat down at home playing around a bit on Photoshop, watching a podcast on the second monitor. At one point they show the famous painting The Creation of Adam by Michelangelo. I immediately thought about how you could let our 2 protagonists reach for each other, but one of them is holding a pair of heels. I went to Adobe Stock and put together a rough sketch of the idea. I wanted the title of the film to stand out and used the same red as in the heels and tried out big bulky fonts until I found the right one. I stretched the letters a bit and put them more together and voila, the cover image was done. I sent it to Jana and she edited the shoes a bit to make them pop and we came up with a subtitle for the movie, A Play of Lust and Power. We gave a few friends a short synopsis and told them we needed quotes for the image and that's what they came up with. Coming to the movie itself. I like it a lot. It shows the work we put into it. You can tell the influences. We even recreated the walk from Patrick Bateman to his office in American Psycho. We tried to recreate a makeup scene from Killing Eve, but nothing is without flaws. Talking to Jamie during supervisions, he gave us advice on how to frame shots right, and I probably heard a million times that we should go really close with the camera, as most amateur films have a medium shot size that just felt boring. We went out of our way to experiment with our shots to make it look visually stunning. After 40 hours of editing, we finished our project we were proud of, yet I felt like we could have done more. If I had more time, I could have made better music for the film. We now resorted to mostly royalty-free music off the internet. My biggest gripe with our movie is my own fault. Let me explain. The script is quite saucy. A lot of touching, kissing and making out. The film in comparison is quite tame. Not because I was afraid to put a camera on it, but it felt weird making the actors that were helping us out for free all around and make them uncomfortable during scenes. I felt like I was exploiting them and asking them for too much. I think in general we could get better performances from the actors during some scenes if I would have spoken up more and told them to do it again and criticize the performance constructively. It was my first time in the director's chair, and sadly you could tell. I was afraid to fumble the generally good vibes we had going on set. Don't get me wrong, I'm very happy with the finished film for the time we had to shoot and edit. And if I would do a similar project, I would work up the courage to ask more from the actors and be in better dialogue with them. To finish up, I will be answering some questions. First question is, explain how you have helped either another student or a member of staff during your final year. I've helped two final major projects. I helped my flatmate Clara Bender on a short film. Initially, I should be a part of the crew and help her behind the camera, but due to unforeseen circumstances, I had a supporting role in a short film. That was a very fun experience, and I'm glad I did it. During those shooting days, we would hire Lauren King as our main character. In return, Clara helped us in our short film as well and was most of the time the person to hold the boom mic. The second project I helped with was the one for my other flatmate Christian Neuhäuser. I held a reflector for shoots he had outside. I even was a model for his pictures at one point, but sadly my pictures were cut from his final submission. Nevertheless, I want to express my gratitude towards him. He took all the behind the scenes pictures for our shooting days and helped us with the gimbal shots tremendously. Now to the second question. Provide an example of how you use the formal properties of your chosen medium to trigger specific emotions or response in your audience. During the scenes where Jodie rushed to the office to see Luca but finds Lorenzo, we filmed him from a low camera angle, making him appear bigger and more imposing. As a strong contrast to his conversation partner, Jodie is filmed from a very high camera angle and zoomed in on her head to make her seem inferior, small and under stress, which in my opinion works very well. Let's move on to the third question. How have you resourced and directed either participants or materials to produce a specific effect in your FMP? We used a colored light during a flashback scene from Jodie, where Luca and Jodie lay in bed. Its normal use is to project an ocean to your ceiling to help you fall asleep. We used it directly on the actors to give the whole scene a dreamy feel. I think this little gadget saved us a lot of post-production and helped set the mood for the scene very well. Now, to our final question. What advice would you give to students doing an FMP on your pathway next year? Plan ahead. Really simple. Always plan in that stuff won't go your way. Plan in more time. You could do the entire film in 2 days, like we did, but also in 3, making it easier for you, your crew and your cast. Also, be more upfront with the actors' performances. They want to learn as well. If you plan in more time, you could also use it to take more takes of every scene just to be extra sure you got everything the right way. And that's about it. I want to thank everyone that helped us on this project, from my flatmates to my family across the ocean and my girlfriend. I hold this project very close to my heart, and I believe Jan and I have produced a very good film. As my skills develop over time, I will go back and reflect on this project, seeing how far I've grown, but I will always think this project is magnificent.